Cool. So, isometrics, guys. Here we go. I'm going to set my timer. And what we're going to do today is we're just going to do a little bit of a yoga flow to get us in the mood. And then we'll get started, all right? So how I want you to start today, feet hip width apart. Take a deep breath in, reach tall, bring the hands back down as you exhale, tuck the chin and slowly roll your body down through into a hang. We're just going to spend a few breaths here in the hang. Okay, you can keep the knees slightly bent. You can let the head and shoulders go so that your lower back here, even your mid back opens out, and you can rock and sway your weight side to side. Just so you can feel a stretch in places that maybe we normally wouldn't. Okay, good. After a few breaths there, what I want you to do is bend the knees so you can get your hands flat to the floor, and then step out long into the top of a long plank, top of a press up. And I want you to come up into a down dog. Pressing the floor away, bend the knees as much as you need to keep a relatively straight line through arms and body. And then slowly push one heel down to the floor at a time. And roll on through, down through our press up, and into a little upward dog, or into a baby cobra where we're pushing our elbows into the floor, squeezing our shoulder blades together. Good. Hands back to the floor if you're already in that up dog. Come up into another down dog. This time push both heels down towards the floor. And as you come back forward this time, I want you to step one foot up and outside the hand. Keeping the back leg straight. From this position, drop the back knee down to the floor and hook the foot. And you're just going to turn your torso to face into that hip. And then we're going to push that hip away from the body. 5 times. Good. And then, bringing both hands down to the floor, we're going to pop that foot back straight. Straighten that leg out. And slowly come on up into a standing, long standing lunge. Bring the hands up overhead. Feel that stretch across that back hip flexor. I'm just going to turn around so you can see what's going on here. Up in that tall position. And then we're going to turn into a warrior. Making sure that that front heel is level with the middle of the back foot. Our arms are going long and my hips are dropping down towards the floor. Trying to keep my front shin vertical. And the weight on the outside of my back foot. Good. A couple of controlled breaths here. Then we sweep both hands back down to the floor, change that foot position, step back into that plank, another downward dog, push both heels down towards the floor, slowly move back through into the top of the plank, and then step the other foot forward. Okay, so I'm now in a position that I brought the other foot up, and I'm dropping that back knee down towards the floor, and hooking the foot. And you're going to turn your torso towards that front knee. And we're going to press on out here. So I'm working into that hip capsule all the time, keeping my chest pointing at that knee. Good. Once we've done 5 presses out, we're going to bring that hand down. And come and rise up into a half kneeling lunge. Feel that stretch across the hip flexor. Plant the back foot into the floor and straighten that back leg out and really now loading through that front leg. From that position, rotate the back foot out into our warrior. Front heel level with the middle of the back foot. Weight on the outside of the back foot. Arms out, straight from the body. Sit the weight onto my front leg, opening out the hips. Good. And then hands down to the floor. And step back along into that plank. Drop down to the knees. All right. Good stuff. That takes us through our warm-up. Hips should be nice and warm now. And what we're going to get into today is a bit of isometric training, okay? And we're going to start with a split squat hold. Now, if you've got a couch to hand, or a chair, or a bench, or the side of the bed, that's perfect. You can do this as a rear foot elevated split squat. Okay, if you don't, you're just going to be in a regular split squat position here. All right, but I'm going to use the sofa today. And what I'm going to look for is raising one foot up on that sofa, and I'm sitting down, and you'll notice the parallel lines between my front shin, my back thigh, and my torso. Okay, and all that weight is sitting down through the front leg. We're going to hold for 30 seconds. We're going to do a quick switch over to the other leg for 30 seconds and then rest for 30 seconds, okay? So 30-30 rest, 30-30 rest. And we're going to do 5 rounds. I can say 5 rounds. Okay, so get into position. Okay, so that back foot is laces down. 3, 2, 1. I lower down, my back knee drops towards the floor. I've got relatively good parallel angles between my front shin, my back thigh, and my torso. What I mean by that is I'm not sitting up and on my back leg. And I'm not thinking about just dropping down, I'm thinking about breaking and pushing the floor away, but without moving. Okay, and pulling myself forward and pushing myself back in equal measure. 3, 2, 1, up, plant the foot, quick change over, back down and hold. So I'm thinking about pulling myself forward and pushing back all at the same time so I don't move. Just almost like I'm in a running position, okay? Braced and tight. Good. Stay with it. Try and keep the weight off that back leg and over the front leg. 3, 2, 1. Last time there. Beautiful. Great stuff, guys. 30 seconds of rest. Now, if you need to do that as a split squat, you absolutely can, okay? In my split squat position, my feet are hip width apart, exactly the same as for my rear foot elevated. And then I drop down, drop my back knee towards the floor. So I still want those same shapes. Back thigh, front shin, and torso. Opposite hand up, same arm back, just like I'm running, all right? Good. 3, 2, 1, back to the top. Away we go. Good. So holding position, okay, we're not letting the body drop. We're fighting through the core, we're pushing the floor away. 3, 2, 1. Come up, plant the foot next to it, quick change over, and straight in on the other side. I'm actively thinking about pushing the floor away, so I'm keeping my back knee off the floor. Almost like I'm thinking about pushing forward, but again, I'm using all this front leg. I'm not sitting my weight down through this back foot. So already starting to get spicy. So I should feel very little tension through this back leg. 3, 2, 1, rest there. Good. Shake the legs out. We've still got 3 rounds to go. So the only difference from doing it on the floor, guys, is the amount of stretch that you're going to feel over that back leg. If you've got quite a high step, your hip flexors are going to take a lot of the brunt. So it might be better to go on the floor if you need to. Less than 10 seconds before we start round 3. I'm going to show you the split squat and what we should and shouldn't be doing, okay? 3, 2, 1. Assume the position and drop in. Now, because both feet are on the floor here, it's really easy for me to sit that weight back on that back leg. Notice now the angle difference between my torso and my front shin. I want a positive front shin angle, so I get my glute and my quad and my foot ankle stabilizers really involved, but I don't want to drop. 3, 2, 1, quick switch over and down. On front on, I'm really making sure that I stay on the train track. I'm not passive here. I've got tension everywhere. Okay, so I'm pushing myself forward with my back leg, pushing back with my front leg. My glutes and quads are really starting to fire up already. 3, 2, 1, stand there. 3 down, 2 to go. Good job. Tension is the name of the game, guys, okay? We've only got gravity to work with and obviously X amount of our body weight. So it's really important I get into those positions. I drive out over that front leg to the point where I almost feel like I'm trying to push upwards. All right, less than 10 seconds. 2 rounds to go. 3, 2, 1, laces down, drop into position. So if I get my weight over that front leg, I'm at a point where I almost think about pushing myself forward, okay? Not pushing back and up. Core nice and tight, so I'm not passive and relaxed and hanging on my back leg and across my hip flexor. Almost there. 3, 2, 1. Quick up, put my foot next to the front foot and drop straight in. Quick changeovers, guys, so we maximize the time and position. Good. Fighting it all the time, resisting the temptation to sag towards the floor and have that back knee touch the floor. I'm active. I'm holding about a 90-degree position through my knee without sinking. So I'm pushing the floor away, actively pushing myself up, overcoming. 3, 2, 1, and stand. One more round. One more round. Good stuff. 5 seconds away. Whew. Into position then. So remember, hip width apart. 3, 2, 1, down we go. So it's really important, guys. If I step too long here, you'll notice that the angles aren't right. And if I'm too short, again, the angles between my front shin and my back thigh are not where I want them to be, okay? So that just takes a little bit of playing around with this. We're not going to get a protractor out, but we want to see something close to those positions. 3, 2, 1, up, quick changeover, down and away we go. Remembering that we don't want to be too far forward. Nice, strong, active positions, nothing passive. Creating tension through the torso. This is the last 30-second block, guys. Last 10 seconds now, pushing the floor away. 3, 2, 1, stand. Awesome job, good work. Whew. Nicely done. Good. All right. We've got another lower body isometric to do before we move on. So this next one, again, you can do it on the sofa, on the bench, on the chair, or you can do it on the floor, okay? Well, we're going to target right around the hip now. Okay, you might have felt some of that through the glutes, but those split squat positions are predominantly quad driven, good for the knee, great for knee health. If you get kind of knee pain when you're up and down the stairs, or if you get knee pain after a run, these kind of long isometrics are great for tendon health across the knee, but also to help alleviate some of that knee pain, okay? Really useful and quite safe for you to do. So, what we've got next is a single leg hip thrust with a little bit of a twist, okay? So, I'm going to drop into position. My shoulder blades are going to be, the bottom of my shoulder blade is going to be right on the edge of whatever I'm on. And I'm going to come onto one leg, okay? And I want my knee, hip and shoulder to be a nice straight line. And I'm going to bring the non-working leg up into this almost like a running position. And then with the same arm, I'm going to press. So I'm pushing my hips to the ceiling and I'm pushing my knee towards my head I'm blocking off here. And obviously the harder you push with your knee, you just need to keep your arm locked out straight. Okay, arm locked out straight, pressing that knee into your hand. And we're going to feel that in the glute of the leg that's on the floor, we should do, and across the front of the hip and hip flexors on the side that's up and pressing into your hand. Same principle as last time, 30 seconds on one side, quick switch over, 30 seconds on the other, 30 seconds rest. Okay, good, that's what we're going to do. We've got 45 seconds before we start though. So this is a really effective way of training, guys, okay? We get so much muscle contraction that they do a lot of work. If you think about how many repetitions you could do in 30 seconds, we're probably getting more mechanical tension in this 30-second block. Okay, 15 seconds, so let's get ourselves into position. Now you can do this on the floor in exactly the same way. I bridge off the floor and I block off with the opposite hand, okay? So I'll start on the floor. 3, 2, 1. Plant one foot down, get up into the bridge position, and then press and hold. So I'm pushing through the floor. I'm pushing back with my knee. So you should pretty much feel it everywhere. My core is working really, really hard. I'm halfway. You're not going to be able to hold that intensity through pulling the knee in. Perhaps 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Quick switch over. And remembering that we want to get that knee just a little bit north of the hip if we can. Okay, so we don't want it to be, if you've got crazy long arms. And remembering if you're up on the bench or the chair, the line of the chair should be level with the bottom of your shoulder blade. Okay. 3, 2, 1, and rest. Whew. 1 set down. 4 to go. Whew. Really good. 10 seconds. Until you're sitting on the edge of the sofa. It's all well and good. 3, 2, 1. I get out in position. Making sure I'm pushing my hips high to the ceiling and that I'm pressing that arm in. Rest the head back so you can really focus on keeping that rib cage flat. 10. You don't want to have a broken hip position, so pressing up and in. 3, 2, 1. Quick switch over. So I'm trying to block, okay? I'm trying to block that hip up into position. So I'm squeezing tight, utilizing my abdominals as well to control my rib position. And then I'm blocking off here. Trying to keep the knee at least directly over the hip. 3, 2, 1, time. 2 down, 3 to go. So remember, if you're struggling to keep your hips up level with your knee and shoulders on the bench or the chair, just come onto the floor, guys, okay? We want to maintain good quality. 10 seconds. I'm going to run you through a couple of the errors now that you might be seeing, okay, as you tire. Remember, on the floor, it's exactly the same thing. 3, 2, 1, away we go. So what you might find in your bridge, okay, is that, I'll show you this side, that you can't maintain a good straight body line. You can also have your foot too far forward of your ankle, which means that you might be feeling it more in your hamstring rather than in your glutes. 10 seconds to go. Three, 2, 1, and time. Just quick switch over onto the other leg. Good. Trying to find space to breathe as well, okay? So we want all of this tension, but please don't hold your breath for 30 seconds. Good. Keep fighting. If you're starting to drop, it's a sign on the next one, guys, that we can probably stay on the floor, okay? 3, 2, 1, down we go. So your hip flexors are really undertrained muscle group, okay? They help to stabilize your spine, incredibly important. They're really important when we're running, especially sprinting, okay? But they just get overlooked and we tend to just stretch them because they feel tight. And oftentimes that tightness is actually a disguise for them being too weak to tolerate what we're asking them to do. All right, so I'm going to drop and do another set number 4 on the floor. 3, 2, 1. So when I come up here, I bridge up as normal and then I block off. So what I'm trying not to do here is press up through my elbows. I'm trying to push through my floor, push my foot down through the floor, brace through the core, because I can rotate off to one side. Three, 2, 1, quick switch. The switch can be really quick here. So nothing passive, okay? Hips away from the floor. Focus on squeezing the butt, pushing your pelvis to the ceiling. Last 10 seconds. Good. 3, 2, 1. Down we go. We've got one more set. I don't know if the legs can take it. Fantastic. So remember, guys, you want to be able to hold it for that time. If you need to break it up into like 12 seconds with a little 6-second break and another 12 seconds, you can definitely do that. Okay, we're doing 30-second blocks. We're accumulating 2.5 minutes of work, 3 seconds before we go in the last set. It's really important that you figure out how best to block this time off, okay? If you're still going, up on your bench or your chair or the sofa, good on you. If you're just getting back into running, guys, okay, these isometrics are super important. We want to make sure that when we're pushing up towards the ceiling, I'm not pushing through my shoulders, I'm pushing through the floor, and I'm thinking about tucking and pointing my pelvis to the ceiling, okay? 3, 2, 1, quick changeover, and last time through, here we go. It's really important that I've got good pelvic control here. So I'm not arching through my lower back, I'm squeezing the glute and tucking the pelvis rather than trying to push through with my belly button, okay? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, time. Whew. Awesome. Great work. You'll be glad to know we are doing no more lower body today. But we are going to finish with a press up hold. So the press up hold is like a dynamic plank. Okay, I say dynamic plank, it is like a plank. But we're going to drop down to around about 90 degrees at the elbow. The press up hold is your choice. Okay, loads of options. We've got a normal full press up hold. Okay, down to about 90 degrees in the elbows. So from a front on perspective, I'll show you head on. Looking for about 90 degrees in the elbows, and then we hold. Really important from that side on perspective, guys, that we're not letting hips sag. Okay, so it's important that just like on that hip thrust we've just done, I'm thinking about utilizing my core to flatten, almost doing a bit of a little partial crunch, but also tucking the pelvis. That's going to give me my strong position. Now, press ups are hard, okay, especially these holds. So the options for you today are the full press up, the half, or the kneeling press up. You can come right the way in, hold here. In this position though, in that box position, it's really important that when you hinge forward, that we don't send our hips backwards, okay? In that position, we rock forward, shoulder to hip stays in good position. You do even have the sofa or the chair that you've just been working on perhaps, so you can, if you need to make that slightly easier, we can get into positions here as well. Okay, you can do that in a full press up position, or you can do it down on your knees and holding in here as well. Once we've got that 90-90 position through the elbows, and that the weight is through the hands. That's all we need. 5 30-second efforts here, and that's us done for the day. Promise. 30 seconds. So remember, you can start with a full, drop to your knees if you need to, and then shuffle in if you need to, okay? 15 seconds. Just remember the core elements, guys, of that hold, okay? Here we go. Down in position. 3, 2, 1. Whichever hold you're going to do, drop. Elbows at 90 degrees. Core stays nice and tight. Again, actively like the split squat, I'm not thinking about lowering down. I'm thinking about pushing myself away from the floor, but being stuck. Four, 3, 2, 1, time. One down. Great work. So, guys, in that press up position, it's really important that we're figuring out what to do with the lower body, okay? So if you're holding that position, whatever position you're in, and you notice that your hips are sagging, it's going to create some compression through the lower back. So it's really important that we lift the hips away, level with the shoulders, and then I tuck my pelvis. That's done one of two ways. Squeezing the glutes, tightening the core. 3, 2, 1, away we go. Don't need to be any lower than 90. You don't need to be just off the floor. That's a very deep position for the shoulder to be in. Okay. In that 90 position, I can focus on squeezing through my chest, pushing the floor away, keeping my core nice and tight. 3, 2, 1, time. 2 down. So as I was saying before we started that set, holding that position, we don't want to be sagging through. I want to be hollow. So rib cage, flat. Think about squeezing through the core, squeezing your butt, and you'll notice as you clench your butt, you get this tip rotation backwards of the pelvis. That's the position we want to see. Ready? 3, 2, 1. So we want to be in this position, not that position there, okay? Pushing the floor away. Remember that we don't want to be incredibly deep. Too much stress across the anterior part of the shoulder. Last 10 seconds. Three, 2, 1. Oh. Time. 2 more. 2 to go. So I'm going to show you on this fourth one how I'm moving down through the positions if I need to. Remember, we just want to be able to hold it for that time. My chest is definitely working through. Into position then. 3, 2, 1. So this is how we're going to work it. Okay, there's my full position. I drop my knees if I need to. I need to come all the way up. I still got my weight down through my hands. That's still really tough. Last 10 seconds. So we're not dropping through towards the floor. If you feel like you're lowering, change your position. 3, 2, 1, time. We have one more, guys. So if you're quite strong at the start and you were managing to hold that full press up position, And you notice that you're starting to drop through, chest towards the floor. Just drop to the knees, hold that position. If you're starting in that position and now starting to struggle, just walk your knees up and in. Okay, it's only from the hip down that should change. 5 seconds before our last one. Ready? 3, 2, 1. So pick your position, drop. If I slide back, I don't change. If I come up to here, nothing changes. I'm actively pushing that floor away for all I am worth. I don't want to let my chest move through towards the floor. I don't want to let my hips drop through towards the floor. Everything we've got, guys. Last little bit. Oh, trying to do a single arm. 3, 2, 1. Push. And we are down. Great work. Whew. Walk around, grab a little drink. So, there we have what we call overcoming. What we call yielding isometrics. Okay, every bit as miserable as overcoming. Give us a very different response because we are under tension for longer. It's a bit more like lifting lighter weights for more repetitions, which is great for building muscle mass. Because it's incredibly slow, i.e. we're not moving. It also signals some very cool things for our tendon health. So you can do this with calf raises as well, which is fantastic for your Achilles tendon if you've got any Achilles pain, especially as the weather's getting nicer now. People wanted to go back to some outdoor running as the evenings get lighter as well. It's really important that we bulletproof ourselves in terms of looking after particularly a patella tendon when it crosses the knee and attaches the quad to your shin bone and your Achilles. 2 areas that when we return back to some decent running volumes can really take a hit, okay? If that sounds like you and you have these nagging issues, especially when you want to get out and run, drop me a message. We can put a little plan together for you and really do some things that are useful to bulletproof you for running, okay? Put a bit of a spring in your step, ready to get back and running through the spring. Good, guys, well done. Just a little bit of a chest opener to finish off. All right, come down onto all fours. No more press-ups, I promise. Take the hands out, super, super wide, and just load over to one side. Come back up, nothing major. All I'm doing is I'm turning my torso towards the elbow, moving away from one arm and around to the other. I'm not worried about getting my shoulder towards the floor. I'm trying to turn. Okay, I'm going to separate my shoulder from my sternum. Okay, and just get 5 of those each way. Excellent. And then shift over into a full seated position. And we're just going to give the glutes a little bit of TLC. They got hammered through those split squats and the glute bridges. Hug one knee into the chest. Pick the foot up and over. Place it down on the other outside of the straight leg. Sole of the foot down and the hip bones down on the floor. Hug the knee into the chest using the opposite arm. Now that might be enough of a stretch for the glute, okay? If you're a bit sweaty, you might need to refine position. But I want you to use that anchor point to help you sit up nice and tall. Take the free arm around behind and turn and look over that back shoulder. Really hugging that knee in all the time. Nice. Slowly release. Come back to the center. Change sides. So I'm hugging that knee into the chest, lifting the foot up and over, putting the sole of the foot down without this hip lifting off the floor. Opposite arm to that knee, wrap it around, hug it in tight, sit up tall. I'm still able to breathe and talk all the time. Take the same hand as the front knee, down and around behind, turn and look over your back shoulder. And then nice and slowly rotate back forwards, release that stress. Leg, hand. That's us done.